Open this meeting and welcome everyone to our meeting out at Torrington. Obviously, hospitality is always shown to us by our village. It's absolutely fantastic. So we look forward to a really good day. Councillors, just a little bit of itinerary stuff before we start our meeting. So we'll break for morning tea at 11 o'clock. Then we're going to go out to the transfer station for the official opening of that. And then we'll be back to the hall for lunch. So that's it. I just sort of know the pastures. Webcasting of the meeting will be recorded and placed on the council website for the purpose of broadening knowledge and participation in council issues and demonstrating council's commitment, openness and accountability. All speakers must ensure that comments are relevant to the issue at hand and refrain from making personal comments or criticism or mentioning any private information. No other persons are permitted to record this meeting unless specifically authorised by council to do so. Now, opening with our prayer, we give thanks for the contribution by pioneers, early settlers, and for those who fought the various wars for the fabric of Tenfield community we have today. May the words of our mouths and the meditation of our hearts be accepted in thy sight, O Lord. Amen. Acknowledgement of country, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land that we're meeting on today. I'd also like to pay respect for the elders past, present and emerging of the Yucca, Camilla and Bundjalung nations and extend that respect to other Aboriginal people present. Councillors, apologies. We have an apology from Councillor Beck Sawyer. Can I move a second there, please? Councillor Murray, I thank you. I'll take Councillor McNish as a seconder. I believe I go too fast. And while I'm doing that, I'd just like to know and acknowledge Melling in the first gig at our council meetings to do with our PA leave. I wish you well, and we won't be too rough on you, so we'll be good. But welcome. Great to see you taking the role. Councillors, is there all in favour to do with the apologise? Against? Gary. Obviously, Councillor Sawyer's away at the Murray-Darling conference, and he'll be there. Great. Any disclosures or declarations of interest, councillors? No. Confirmation of their previous minutes. Previous minutes from their first item, councillors. Would someone in attendance like to move that they are true? Councillor Bromley?
Happy to move, but I'd also like to move this information.
Yes, councillor.
That on page 15, item POV 3221, that we, in the minutes, the record of the voting is added.
Right, so can I have a seconder for that, please? Councillor McNish, thank you. So what I'll do, and to explain to councillors to do with that item, that the way people voted is recorded. It wasn't mentioned on the day. Fine. Quite legal what Councillor Bromley Petrie is doing. So I'll go with the ones that voted against were Councillor Murray, and correct me if I'm wrong, councillors, Councillor Michael Petrie, Councillor Don Forbes, and Councillor Bob Raven.
Councillor Murray actually abstained, but it was counted as a vote against.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So 4 were Councillor Peter Petty, Councillor Gary Berry, Councillor Tom Peters, Councillor Ron Petrie, Councillor Greg Sawyer, Councillor McNish, I apologise. Is that good 6? Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I'd also like to, are we finished it?
We'll just got to accept that, that's in there. Is it to do with this, with the minutes, councillor?
I'd also like to raise a procedural motion.
To do with these minutes? Yes. What is it, councillor?
It's to do with the page 16. Meeting started, I just want to name the thing, I want to name those that were for against, but I'll read it out.
Well, councillor, to try and work with it, is it a document that you're presenting? Is it a document that you're
Well,
presenting?
no, I'm just reading off that.
All the times. So to do with the previous minutes of the meeting?
Yes, and it's a procedural motion.
Right? Well, now's your time. Councillor?
Do I need a second for that?
Well, obviously, if it's a motion, a procedural motion, you'll need one. Yes? But let me hear your motion first.
Okay. It's the centre process has placed the extreme financial penalty in excess of 41,000 plus on Tenfield Shire rate payers This process has taken 10 months to complete, that the names of councillors who voted for and against the motion to censure me placed alongside their votes, and also that this process has placed myself and my family under great stress. Thank you. That's my motion.
Councillor, I will ask for advice, and please respect my man from our acting CEO. I'm just struggling that it's actually a motion, more of a statement.
The business of the minutes, I suppose, or the adoption of the minutes, the procedural motion put forward tackles the business, which is the recording of those particular votes. The business was dealt with at the last meeting, so we're not dealing with the business contained with that, more the actual voting. So what we're requesting essentially has been covered by the existing motion that's before the council now, which is the recording of the votes. So what we've got at the minute is the votes against that particular item, being John Hawes, Brian Murray, and Bob Rogan, Michael Petrie, and the votes for Peter Petty, Gary Berry, Tom Peters, Bronwyn Petrie, Greg Sawyer, and John McNish. So that will be recorded in the minutes as a division. Is that the underlying motion that you want to move in terms of the minutes themselves?
Yes.
Yeah.
So where am I standing now? Can I continue with this? It's important to me that this is recorded.
So the underlying action of your motion that you're moving, I think, is covered by the original motion, which is the recording of the votes. Is that correct? And you've obviously made a statement within that, based on the fact that the business had already been dealt with in the previous meeting. We're just talking about the minutes, not bringing back that report again. So based on what we've actually got currently, the voting for that particular item at the last meeting will now be recorded with the names of for and against. Based on the motion that's there, that's just been moved.
Yeah. So what you're saying effectively is that that's already been dealt with.
Yes.
This really hasn't. Yeah, but I'm coming from quite a different angle here. I want this recorded, and I put up the procedural motion for where I'm going with this. But that's got nothing to do with this meeting, actually.
Well, right now, Councillor, I can because to be supported by the acting CEO, what we're doing is approving the minutes of a previous meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. So someone that is in attendance needs to be moved in second at that meeting. It's all there. So Councillor Bronwyn Petrie, seconded by Councillor Dish, has moved a procedural motion that the votes be recorded. So that's done. Now, so then these minutes should be accepted as a true and correct record.
With the addition of how everybody voted.
That's right. Exactly. So I'm dealing with, and I've allowed you, chairing the meeting, Councillor, I've allowed you to read out what you want to read, and I'm just struggling that it's actually a motion more of a statement. That's all and that's why I've asked for advice from acting
Which is
CEO.
recorded on the
Effectively a motion, yes.
Well,
I frankly, I don't see why it wouldn't be a motion. What I'm really about is the money that was spent on this, etc., etc. I want that report.
what it is recorded in the previous minutes, Councillor,
Yes.
in the report.
And it's also recorded in lots and lots of media outlets.
Yes. Because it's a public document, we're not in a debate.
So where I'm coming from here is, I want for my records.
Just right, Councillor, I'll allow that. Yes.
Councillor Murray's brought up the cost of the independent investigation, and there have been questions in the public about why it went to an independent investigator.
Yes.
Perhaps we've got our governance manager here. If we could get an explanation, not just Powerhouse Reserve Councillor last week said the same thing. We get an explanation, a clear explanation as to why the matters pertaining to Councillor Murray were referred to.
Yep.
Happy if Erica wants to answer that one.
Erica, and I'm happy to. I think we're in a spot where we can clear a bit there. If you please.
Thank you, Mr. The local government act and councils code of conduct and procedures for the administration code of conduct determine that when an investigation is required or if an initial investigation is undertaken, that's undertaken internally. We are then required to go to our independent code of conduct review panel to refer externally. And so councillors may be aware that's occurred previously with other matters. It's occurred both with staff as well as the council.
So what's that telling me effectively?
It is referred externally, council. They always are.
In the procedures administering the code of conduct that's adopted by the council. So what we've followed is the adopted procedures that we set in place before any of these items actually come to us.
Oh, councillor, please, I'm still going with that.
At this point in time, you have mentioned as well the cost which was provided in the report. So when we talk about the public record, the previous agenda outlined a lot of those items. So what you're referring to being on the public record, I would consider have already been made available publicly through that report, because it is a public report. And whilst they might not be included, the resolution was dealing with that report. So the report's on record, and then the resolution in the minutes is now what council's resolved to do with that. So I would suggest that that is actually already publicly available information. So it would just be, as I said, probably not appropriate to put it back in the minutes when it's already contained in the public report.
Yes, so you can read it coming from here. And again, I want it for my records. It's important that I have this for my records.
Councillor, as chairperson, once again, please speak this and do have the authority. I'm struggling with this motion. I refer to a motion in all our business papers that it could be amended to a report that a council staff have put forward, or when we get into notices of motions that councillors bring forward to do something. Their motions, I'm struggling that it's actually a motion of any sort. So that's where I sit, and in doing that, I'm not allowing it. And that's my call, and if I'm wrong, I'll stand and be corrected.
So can I at least have that recorded that you refuse to accept the
Yeah, well,
motion?
will, because I don't think it's legal. Like, it's not what I'd accept as a motion. Obviously, that's the motion that Councillor Rowan as a procedural motion is lawful, and it's going in those minutes that the votes were recorded, and they will be. So, but what you'll do to me, yes.
So you're effectively saying this is not legal.
I'm saying that it's not. I can't see it as a motion. It's more of a statement, Councillor.
Well, that's an interpretation.
Well, it is, and I apologise. Lack of education and being roughly brought up, but that's how I do it. I apologise for that, but I'm not accepting it. Councillors, just before we go on to tie this all up, in future, obviously, as we all know as we run our meetings, and I think our meetings go pretty good, remind councillors, if it's a planning matter, all votes are recorded. If you ever wish to do anything, and I'm only trying to help you with anything we do, anything we vote on, and you call for a division, you're quite entitled to. A division needs a seconder, and those votes will be recorded. So just for future reference. Okay? Councillor Bob, is it to do with what we've been on, because we'll need to move on, yes? Yep.
Yes, briefly, Mr. Mayor, I apologise for
You don't need to apologise?
well, it seems to me that Councillor Murray has a desire to put his thoughts across, and that's fine, and have it recorded. And I get that it's probably not a motion, so if Councillor, it's just to help Councillor Murray out, if he was to put that in writing and table it at the next meeting.
He can table it now, and table the documents if he wishes to.
That would achieve what he wants to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's all.
But Councillor, I'll offer you that this the next item you deal with is a table document. So if you wish to present that as a document to be tabled, as chair of the meeting, I'll have to accept the document.
So I can do that.
Yes. Well, that's why I say it. If I'm wrong, I'll be shut down. I've been there before. Okay? So right we'll tidy up with that motion and the votes being recorded. All in favour of accepting the minutes as a true and quick record. Okay? Thank you. Councillor Murray, you wish to use the table of the document?
I'll tell you the document.
Yes. Can you please read the document?
Due to the seriousness of the issue, I gave it to you in
Yes. Can I have a second for the table of the document, please? Councillor McNish, thank you. Councillor Murray says table of documents being taken by Councillor McNish. Due to the seriousness of the censure motion against me, will require the following to be published in the June Council again. The census process has placed the extreme financial penalty in excess of $41,280.42 on Tennille Shire ratepayers. This process has taken 10 months to complete. The names of all councillors who voted for and against the motion to censure be placed alongside their votes. It is that this post will place myself, my family, and the rates this. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you, Councillor. Councillors, in your hard copy, move on to page 19. It's item COM 12/21, application to council to be appointed as Crown Land Manager of 3 reserves in Tenterfield. I'll be moving the second to deal with this item, please. Councillor Bromman, I thank you. Second by Councillor Michael Petrie, and I thank you. And I will hand over to our property specialist. Welcome, Nev.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Morning, councillors.
For those people, sorry, Nev, we haven't met Neville in our wonderful organisation. He's Neville Gray, and he's a property specialist. He works very closely with Heidi Ford. There you go. He complains about the parties. Over to you, Nev.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Mayor. So this report basically deals with 3 reserves. Probably the easiest way to identify those are attachment 2, where they're numbered. Currently, these 3 reserves are all at the moment, they're Crown land, obviously, and they're devolved to council. Being devolved to council means that council cares for them and maintains them, but council doesn't manage those reserves. That's another step up in the elevation, I guess, of being able to put build reserves. They form part of the network, everyone probably realise, of reserves that follow Tenterfield Creek, and the other reserves or sports fields along the creek are either owned by council or council is already the land manager of those reserves.
I apologise. Councillors, I apologise. Get back to our water business. You can come back in 1 minute. Just need to tidy some things up. So, councillors, we do have I apologise. So, a table document that's been voted and seconded from Councillor Murray. We have a late supplement of business, which is your amendment item, which is item. The second item we do is CRM 13/21. Can I have a move in a second to deal with this be accepted as an addendum, please? Councillor Bob, thank you. Rogan, second, please. Councillor Murray, I thank you. All in favour? Again, carried. There is no mirror minute, and there is nothing to be considered in confidential session. I apologise, Councillor. Back to you then.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Where was I? So, just quickly, I assume everyone will have read this, but the first reserve is on the western side of Crown Street and the eastern side of the showgrounds. It's known, its actual name is the old Powerhouse Reserve, but commonly called Skate Park. There's 3 lots in that reserve, and there's a number of proposals currently of development of that reserve, including pump track and Angry Bulls proposal deal with that land. The second one is to the east of Federation, the western part of Federation Park is council-owned land. So there's land then that's Crown Reserve to the east of that, which is not owned by council and not managed. And the third area is another small Hockey Park Reserve to the east of that one. So the main reason for wanting to become a Crown Land Manager rather than just devolve is, as I said, devolve gives council the responsibility really and the cost of maintaining and looking after these reserves, but it doesn't give council the authority to actually manage them. By manage, more mean like approving structures or buildings on the reserves, or entering in any leases or other licenses or that type of thing over those reserves. That's the main reason for doing it. As I said before, there are a number of proposals included on those reserves that for such as the pump track and horse sculptures and the Angry Bulls that for those to proceed, council will need to go and be, in my view, the Crown Land Manager. those happen, they've already been supported by council. There's a brief area then, I guess, on the process of managing Crown reserves. That's not really, that's put there to show that there is a process to go behind, and I think supports the fact that it's probably better off to go through the process now, becoming the Crown Land Manager of these reserves. If you wait until there's a need to do that, there's quite a lengthy time frame in going through that process of firstly becoming appointed the Crown Land Manager and then submitting a plan of management, having that approved by the Crown, and then approved by the public or community. And from what I can gather, unless we can sort of speed that up a bit, there's several months involved in going through that process, and I think if I members reports. There's also because it is Crown land, unfortunately there is even if you're the Crown Land Manager, there are Aboriginal land claims that have to be dealt with. And there's 2 claims that I'm aware of over those reserves at the moment. And native title is also something that has to be dealt with on any Crown land. That's a summary.
Now, the bottom just I'll come to you, Councillor Roll. We'll just go first. With the on page 21 to do with the report, and the improvement of development mentioned, once you've obviously completed, would also subject to an apologise that I didn't give you yesterday to ask this. With number 2, we received advice from the native title manager. Who was the native title manager?
Jessica Gibbons. So I have been
meaning that they deal with all the native title issues.
So anything to do with Crown land, native title, you have to have what's called a native title manager, and it has to be their advice or opinion has to be trained on how to deal with that matter.
Yeah. Now, staff sometimes they did go away to do courses to do that.
Council's also resolved the native title manager and the 2 Jennifer, Jen Donovan was also under that process, so with Neville coming on board, he just needs to get his accreditation in our staff structure. Once he has that, he too will be
It's just a quick guy. I knew that was here, so councillors are aware. I apologise, Councillor Robin, over to you, mate.
With the band hall, is that the on the diagram? Is that the little missing bit? Is it?
Yes, that's on Crown Street. So the band hall is on a small lot of about 400 odd square metres, and it's actually leased to.
The other one is the old Powerhouse Reserve. Which lot is that? Is that the big one or the skinny one?
It's all except for, with the exception of the band hall, that is all the old Powerhouse.
Oh, the whole thing.
So it's called the old Powerhouse Reserve.
Yeah, because that's what Council Mish discovered, that they actually had a pump station down there that is on the creek.
So it's all that red area except for that small area.
Lot 12, but it's actually the lot. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions to do the report, councillors? If not, the report said councillors all happy to receive. Against? Carried. Thank you. Council, we then move on to our addendum item, which is item COM 13/21, Stronger Country Communities Fund, round 4. Could I move in the second to deal with this item, please? Councillor Don Forbes, I thank you. Second by Councillor Bob Rogan, and I thank you. And I'll hand over to our Manager of Public Development Community Day.
He was unable to be here, so I will take that one on for Harry today and hopefully can answer your questions. The Stronger Country Communities round 4. Happy to hand over to Joe if you want to present.
Sure, you'll be if you need, Jake.
So the round 4 is obviously over at this point in time. There's an amount of 792,000 available for the local government area. There's a list of projects that council may like to consider making applications for funding under this particular stream, and they are obviously in the office's recommendation for the adoption of council if they don't have any changes that they'd like like to make to that report.
Any questions on the report, to either Coley or Jody, councillors? Councillor Bowman, you've indicated? Oh, sorry.
Just getting some advice from Paul that I also need to prioritise them, so
Right.
getting
That's important.
Concerns number 5 and 6 have the exact same, or nearly the same wording, with about bathroom fit out and baby change facilities in both. Wouldn't the bathroom fit out and baby change facilities, and I know the outdoor covered area were to do with the female participation and the other was the infrastructure. I just think those wordings need tidying up. You can't apply for two separate lots of money using exactly the same wording.
Good point, councillor. So 5 and 6 we're referring to?
Yeah, so I presume the subfloor and the external wall replacement are in number 5, and the bathroom fit out, baby change facilities and outdoor covered areas were in
6.
well, they wanted to change the pricing, but I think there should be better wording there. And my final thing was number 4, under Paul, says renew kitchen. It's actually kitchen extensions, but hopefully the word, if we were successful, that the renewal of kitchen would cover an actual kitchen extension.
Just on that, councillor, just because of your head involved there, where are they going to, it's only interesting, with the extension of the kitchen, where are they extending it to? West?
Moving north.
North?
North.
Back to the creek, sort of?
Yeah, back to the creek to the east.
Yeah, I apologise, yeah.
Move that tank.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Move it out to where that tank is.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
What else, man? Just on number
Oh,
one.
I'm sorry, councillor. I have got another councillor running, then I'll go to that. So, apologise, councillor. What was the number 4 you said again, councillor Brown?
Oh, no, it's just about renew kitchen. The actual request is to extend the kitchen, but whether for the purposes of the grant application it's better to use the word renew, I do not know, but just so long as whatever wording is used, that we're not prohibited from doing an extension by the choice of the word.
Yep. Okay. So we need to tie this up today.
So what we'll do that as we go through, so obviously we'll do a copy of that, and any of those changes can go in there and we can move it at the conclusion. And obviously council's happy to
Yep. Thank you. Okay, councillor Berry, I'll go to you, then I'll go to you, councillor Kish. Councillor Berry.
I'd like to move an amendment, Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
Amendment is that we take out, or any of the following, the Great Hall, the Strongwood Hall, the Sunnyside Hall, and the Memorial Hall especially. And because I don't think any of them really fit except the Memorial Hall, what do you call it, boarding facility. And I'd like to put it as a Northern Boardwalk.
Councillor, with respect, I probably remember. Did you attend the workshop that was discussed this? All this, that's where this came from.
Yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm happy to deal with your amendment. So, councillor, I'll deal with the amendment now.
The amendment is to include the Northern Boardwalk.
And remove which items, which numbers?
Oh, no, I just don't think they fit in, that's all.
So item 3, Memorial Hall.
Yeah, I think we should take the Northern Boardwalk out of that.
Yeah.
You're wanting to put it in, aren't you?
Yeah.
I want to put the Northern Boardwalk in as amendments.
Remove items 3, 4, 5,
I
and
have to
6.
remove them, just take funding out of those. One of them.
This is the 100,000, yeah.
Yeah, it's about 9,000 for the Boardwalk.
Right. Right. We'll deal with this right now. So, councillor, you'll move an amendment that we add to what we've already got there.
Yeah.
Funding to the, what is it, I'm sorry?
The Northern Boardwalk.
Do I have a second for the amendment?
Mr. Mayor, can I,
To deal with this amendment, councillor?
I'm happy to second it, but I'd like to make a comment.
I'm happy to accept that.
Thank you. I understand where Councillor Berry is coming from, given my involvement with all that part of the world and the Boardwalk in the past. Like I said, I'm happy to second it so that Councillor Berry does have a second for his amendment, but I'm a bit unclear about the future of the border wall, given that there's issues currently being worked through for roads through the park that they go out and walk on. However, if we allocated Councillor Berry's amount to $42,000, they could build their toilet block, which is on private property just outside that. So we can amend those allocation to the various walls to find that 42 grand out of that for a toilet block along the border wall. I'd be happy to see.
Well, yeah, I'll take her as a seconder, and you can speak on that a bit more. Yeah. Righto, councillor, so the amendment's there. You wish to speak to the amendment? Councillor Berry? Sorry, Bill.
Yeah, I think when we did this initially, we got a lot of support from others than the tourist operators, and others wanted to come on board as tourist operators because they thought they could see the benefit in it. And as we've said before, walking is one of the best exercise you can get, and I think it's very important that we at least have a look at it. There's a border walk in Victoria, a walking trail in Victoria that attracts a couple 100,000 visitors on an annual basis. There are other walks that attract similar amounts of visitors elsewhere in the world, and this could be one of the great walks, especially if you went from Lord Rock right through to Wollongong. But if we only do a section at a time, we're going to get there. That's a magnificent scenery along the border there, and it's maintained basically the whole way by the radical. So I don't think there's a great deal of stuff for council to do other than build a few toilets and support the project.
Councillor, I'll come to you, councillor, because I need to go to the seconder, then I'll ask for speakers for and against the amendment. Councillor Bob, did you wish to speak a bit more? I probably allowed you a little bit leeway there, but I'm a bit interested in Councillor Berry, correct, because you're talking $90,000.
Yeah,
And yet,
with that amount.
Councillor Bob, you're talking $42,000.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to explain that, originally the border wall was down, it was either 90 or 100, I forget right. However, given that there are issues currently being worked through for access along the wall,
Yes.
and I know that it will come in time, and I don't know the time frame on this grant, but it has to be concluded by. So if we were to get sufficient to build the toilet along that wall that they need, we wouldn't have to bother national parks or have access issues because a private landowner adjacent to the park has agreed that the toilet could go on his land just outside the park, and it's in an area that would suffice as far as the distance goes.
Yeah.
So 42,000 was the original quote for that. And this is for, I'm sure, the Northern Tourism Association could find a wording for that. So I'd just like to amend to 42,000 for a toilet box to facilitate the border.
Right, the 90 plus the 42 is in there. Is that just 42, so not 90. Can I ask before I go to Councillor Norman, can I ask really, and I'm only chairing the meeting and accepting the amendment. The amendment needs to be debated to move in a second. And so with this toilet block, and please respect, not against the idea at all, just in the wonderful world we live in, so it's, the toilet block would be built on private land through council because council got the grant. Who looks after the toilet?
Okay, the Northern Tourism Association have agreed verbally previously as our last meeting up there that they would maintain it. And all that would be worked through if we could allocate the funds in the matter.
Oh, thank you. I apologise, Councillor Brown, I just needed to get the lead up. So you're speaking in support of the amendment or against it?
In support, because when we initially approved the $100,000 for the border walk, out of the bottom of the second page of the stuff we did on the 25th of February last year, we then had our Economic Development Officer, Harry, come to us and said, oh no, it can't go ahead because of certain issues, etc. And I've since found out that some of those issues didn't exist. And I stated that I'd support it, providing that next time there was funding, that the border walk became number one. and everyone was in agreement with that. And we gave that 100,000 to post office to finish the whole post office, not just part. And so I do support this. There's plenty of places where the road is actually on the road reserve. I think the toilets, because then you may have trouble placing grant money onto private property. I think there's plenty of places where it is a toilet could go within the council road reserve, and then that solves the issue of expenditure of grant money on a private property, which at some stage the owner could go, no, you're not coming here anymore. But I do think we did make that previous commitment. But so my suggestion was to not stuff everything up, is actually to take the 90,000 out of the Urbanville footpath extension for now, and reduce that by $90,000, which gives 70,000 to go towards the start of the footpath, half of the footpath, and then that way we keep our commitment to the border walk.
Well, that against, I want to take it out of historical core infrastructure. Anyway, righto. Get back to order, Councillor. So you were speaking in favour of the amendment. But just for some clarity, it was mentioned, Councillor Bob, through you, and our staff's here, Jake and Hoppy. Councillor Bob, you mentioned about time frame. Is there a next time frame with this? Sorry to put you on the back call.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure it's.
Joe, yep.
The works have to start by March 22.
Yep.
And they have 2 years of completion.
Okay. Just for clarity, councillors, so we all know. And to do with that, am I wrong in thinking in the conversation with you, Paul, as an acting CEO, that other organisations and groups would also put into this money? It's not just the council thing. Yeah.
The
We won't be aware of
amount
that.
is actually available to the LGA. The only other comment that I would make in terms of the allocation for the funding is that we are probably looking, as I said, at that 90,000. So I'd hate to see less money where we've got something on the list that we can't then actually action because we don't have enough money for approvals and the like. So remember, we haven't done in putting together this report a lot of work around that particular installation. So we're not 100% sure. So I'd rather see council apply for a reasonable amount of money to get that completed if that's the goal, rather than leave ourselves short trying to, $5,000 or $10,000 here. So the question remains if that amendment is obviously the first amendment, that gets the number one item in terms of our ranking onto the list as the $90,000 for the toilet block at this point in time.
Councillor McNish, I apologise, I missed it. Now we're dealing with the amendment.
Yeah, no, this is.
Right. Just go back to the report. It's all good. So bear with me because I need to deal with the amendment straight away, which I chose to. So is there any speakers against the amendment? Councillor Murray, are you speaking against this amendment? Yep.
I'm thinking this is a fair and equitable distribution and it's of a particular importance that we put money into the villages. So therefore I feel that to take out of 5 or whatever the suggested figure is, to me it seems putting it all in one direction.
Yep.
And I don't know where this money would come from to accommodate the other. Thank you.
Any other speakers against the amendment? Well, Paul for some comment. Thank you.
So in order to apply for these grants, we need to also provide scope of works, site plans, owner approvals, etc. And when we have to have invoicing go?
June.
Yeah. So just be aware that we need to get all that together, please.
Thank you, Paul. There's no other to do with the amendment, Councillor? Yes?
Well, I believe that the group up there already have done all that preliminary work that costed in the first place. These are our existing tracks. I'm not sure about the upgrade to the netball course, like community money prepared off there.
What we'll do, just to get everything back on track, we're dealing with the amendment. I want to get the amendment tidied up, then we'll go back to the recommendation. Councillor McNish will be first. Completely wrong. We can deal with that.
For people to be able to support it, they need to know where we might prepare it.
Deal with that when we deal with this amendment. We'll deal with the amendment. There's no more speakers against. I'll go to you as a move of the amendment, Councillor Berry, for closing comment.
As I said before, it has created a lot of interest at Northern sector to keep tourism on. there's people along that route would be happy to evaluate a museum, there's a museum up there, private museum. They'd be happy to open that museum on certain occasions. There's other people up there who'd be happy to set up accommodation. And as we said, the road is the track is pretty well maintained by the rabbit board, except for
New South Wales.
New South Wales, Queensland. Yeah, right. So I don't think it's a big ask. And we did put it in, and we were not by council last time because as there's a little bit of shenanigans on with a few things with it, so we should have wisdom if we look at it this time.
Okay, Councillor Berry will close the debate on that. So we're dealing with amendment, councillors. It'll be number 8 in the report. So it's moved by Councillor Berry, second by Councillor Bob Grogan, include funding for Northern Border Walk of $90,000 and toilet block of $42,000. All in favour? Against? Against, Councillor? Yes. The amendment's up. Now we're going to go back to the whole report because due to the advice from our council and from our staff, we need to tidy up a bit of this now so it's done today, as far as adjusting figures or wording and stuff. So, Councillor McNish, I'll go to you first, and I apologise.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just a comment on number 1 of Great Hall. I took it to our discussions at the workshop the other day to the meeting last Wednesday night. They were very supportive of the change we made. I said, what's wrong with the kitchen? I said, nothing. That's why we changed it to the air conditioning. The progress association is fully supportive of this application.
Thank you, Councillor.
Then I do make the point that they may not get it, but this will hopefully put it through.
And Councillor, before I go to Cole, I do commend you and Councillor Bryan for the work you do there over there and the great relationship you have with the progress, which is much appreciated. John, you want some comment?
The only thing in terms of the conversation as we move forward, we've obviously had the motion to include that amount for the Northern Border Walk, 90,000, is that correct? Yep.
Yes.
So whilst we've got that on the list, it might be worthwhile just to rank those. So whilst we actually have an amount of an allocation across the local government area, even if we include that as an additional item, if we can run through the rankings, we can actually apply for more than even though that amount may be in excess to save the commentary around which comes in and which goes out of council.
So Cole, we're supporting with your comments. So what you're referring to is ranking as what's our favourite?
What's number 1 to whether be now number 8?
So what we'll do, Councillor, how about we deal with that now?
Just a question, Mindoo, that's not on the list, and yet there was $5,000 in there.
Because it's not enough money, am I correct in saying that?
Right. So the other thing is under drain, the words roof was the major component, 60,000 for the roof, and it's not listed as, it says upgrades including aircon, floor covering, and goes, doesn't say roof. Yep. Because roof actually forms 60,000 on the, yeah.
Well, how do you want to rank it? Are you happy with how they ranked or you want to change it? Because that's the question that's been asked, councillors. Councillor McNish.
Sorry, for the ranking.
Yeah.
The drain hall air conditioning, I paid 25,000 to the meeting last week.
Right.
That was all, wasn't 113,000. It was just a much smaller figure.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not only air conditioning, it's floor covering the end guard. That's where they come up.
But that's excluding the roof.
But the other roof's in.
So the roof was 60,000, the guttering was 7.5, the floor was 18,000, and the aircon was 25.
So that come up to the figure of 113?
That's on the back page, councillor, so
Apologise, Cole.
when you actually look at the items that are included under each of those.
Yes.
Yeah. I would like that to remain number 1. They were the worst affected community and got the least amount of money through all different funding regimes.
Yep.
And the roof they reckon doesn't actually need doing, but anyway, but definitely that aircon, etc. is vitally important for them.
Righto. Just tidying up as we're going. Councillor Berry, yes?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to have the border walk as number 1 because we gave the money before we took it off.
You are unbelievable. I love you dearly. How about putting this number 2, councillor? You going to shift or not?
Oh, number 2 will do.
Right. So border walk is number 2. Let's tidy it up. You want to leave the Memorial Hall in 3?
No,
No.
Granville footpath is number 2 as it is.
3 it'll be.
Oh, 3, yes.
It'll be 3.
Once we've got to tidy up with some of those.
Okay. We'll go back to start just to deal with our secretary. So number 1's the Drake Hall at the moment. Number 2's the Border Walk. Number 3 is Urban Good Footpaths. Okay, let's keep going. Steinbook is number 4.
Then Sunnyside, because they missed out several times with.
Sunny. Well, which one of the Sunnyside?
Yeah, 4 Steinbook, 5 Sunnyside.
Yeah, but which one of the Sunnyside? Because we've got 2 Sunnysides all in. One's 85, one's 53.
5 and 6.
No, number 6, because it'll probably get funding with
Right, so make it number 5.
6, number 5.
5, number 6.
Yeah.
And that leaves Feddo
Federation.
as number 7.
Memorial Hall.
So Feddo is 7 and Memorial was 8.
So I'm not sure which one's most important.
And they remain at 7.
Yes. And then Memorial Hall comes to number 8.
Which one would be used the most?
That's a very good point, actually.
Because they both fit that, remember half of this grant goes to female participation.
Yep. I'd go with the Hall.
Yeah.
I would.
That's good.
Any comment from staff for clarity on what we're doing?
So is it
They
all
would just change that.
Hall 7 and then Hall 8?
So we'll just tidy up while we're here to do with Sunnyside Hall Call. So we need to.
So number 6, we take out the word upgrade to the subfloor.
Yep.
That was the conversation before about
Yeah.
concern with the overlap of the wording.
Councillor Bromwich. This refers to what you raised to do with the 2, 5 and 6 of the old recommendation.
Take the whole lot out, please, if it's the outdoor, sorry, it's just the outdoor covered area at the very end.
Yeah. Leave the outdoor covered area in.
Yes.
Yes.
And take the rest.
The
Yep,
rest out.
beautiful.
No, you need the baby people, the bathroom fit out baby.
But doesn't the other one cover that, Councillor? Subfloor bathroom fit out baby change facilities?
The female participation, remember, it's half of the grant, so we need to, for the females, it's bathroom fit out and baby change and outdoor covered areas. They're the important things to have all females to have
Yes.
there.
Yes.
So we don't cross them out.
Good question, Paul.
We had to provide that through this man because it's a minimum of $50,000 for the project. It wouldn't have met the $50,000 minimum, so we had to split it up that way.
So we'll leave it in
some infrastructure and some.
Why do you then have bathroom fit out and baby change in the infrastructure part? See, the same wordings in both lines, so it doesn't make sense.
So, if we were looking at the back page, just for clarity, so everybody should have the list
On
of
the back page of the
lines
report, Councillors.
of the report, but we've actually got, based on what Councillor Gordon said, we've got the 53,000 for the outdoor covered area, which is what we're talking about, and then we've got the footings, the bathroom fit out, and the replacement of boilerboards on the western side. So, the covered area is identified as the female participation item, and I agree with Councillor Petrie that obviously a baby change table and the like provide some assistance.
So once again, the point was that we only include some floor and it's still the wall basement. It would only be 25,000 and not 50,000.
So could I suggest
Stay
that
with you, Councillor, yes.
we change the figures, because the bathroom fit out and baby change table screams female, doesn't it?
I would think so.
And I know dads change babies
Yes.
and everything, but so if the 60,000 went to the female for bathroom fit out and baby change facilities, so that means the 50,000. And then you have $78,116.50 for the infrastructure. Happy days. Because it's no good getting half a grant for a bathroom fit out and you miss out on the other half on the other thing. So the 60,000, no one's going to query that fit out. So bathroom fit out and baby change table obviously says if you've got that, you'll get more female people there. So there's your 60, the remainder is the 78,116.50, which gets you across the line for the infrastructure.
Correct me if I'm wrong, 5 and 6, they're still in order and they're still grouped, is that correct?
No. 6 and 5 has become 6.
Yep.
And 6 has become 5.
If we could actually just put them together.
Yep.
Because of the ranking, it's same as my application for that.
They just have a lot for them.
Yep.
Throw the lot in there if you're happy with that. So then rather than reverse, just take out one and then just put them all as the one, totaling the 138,16. 138,000.
So long as it doesn't have to have 50-50 when you total it all up.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have to nominate this construction.
Yep. While we're with this councillor, I apologise on that.
Sure, I was just going to suggest that 5 and 6, we scrap all the excess there and put it into the cans. Put all the cans.
You're getting told.
You should have been into that workshop, councillor. Yeah, of course you can, councillor. I will come back to our staff for some comment to tidy this up. To do this report, councillor? Yes?
The importance of Sunnyside Hall is their local properties, weddings, funerals, etc.
There's no debate about whether we do this or not, it's just about getting the wording right. Yeah, that's all we're tidying up, councillor. And not duplicating something. Absolutely.
$138,116. That will go directly to the site.
That is just an aggregation of the 2 items that are already there on the list, instead of having them separate to reduce, I guess, the size of the resolution, that's what council's resolved to apply for at the end of the day. So council's not resolving each of the applications, they're resolving the order in which they need to put those in and what the order they would like funded.
Okay? Paul, are we good? We move forth? Right. Okay.
There's nothing stopping us adding more to that, is there? It's just asking for more funding?
The only thing that causes us the contention of adding to this list is the staff resources it takes to apply. And not going to lie, we're pretty stretched at the moment. So as I said, happy to work with council as best we can to get a good outcome, but we don't have hundreds of people running around.
But there's a limit to how much we're entitled in the Shire, isn't there?
Yes, that's correct. So that the whole Shire only has that 792 will be allocated to the whole Shire. So council can obviously put in more applications, but so too can community groups eligible under those.
Sporting groups, progress.
That's correct.
In the LGA. Well, councillors, I think we've tidied that up enough. Any questions from you? We're all good?
We need to move on, obviously, for it once we've got this.
That's right, because we dealt with him, and we haven't dealt with officers' recommendations. Well, I would have had a move in a second to do the item at the start, yeah. Councillor Forbes and Councillor Bob Ryder. So the recommendations there, councillors, after much wording, which was great. Apologise, why?
Well, where are we putting the 90,000 for the hall out of the total? Because we've gone over the total now, we've got to deduct 90 grand off something.
That we will put in our application inclusive of that. So we will go over in our application. So what Councillor Berry was saying, we're going to actually apply for 800 such and such of a pool of 790, so that in the order that council now resolves, because we had that first amendment which was to include on the list the border wall. Now council's made changes to that list, so there's the moving of the list that's now provided, the second, and then apparently that's what we're going to do.
So if for instance, the swimming pool now put in for a heated blanket, because they missed out the last funding, yes, which would fit female participation, they may result something.
They may well come over the top of council, that might be the first thing that's funded.
I mean, we could have put it in too, but they've already put a submission in, they've already got the wording so they can put it in.
Righto, councillors, thanks for the staff for your comments to do with that, and officers' recommendations there, all in favour? Against? Carry. Right. Councillors, moving to page 27, the hard copy, it's item EMV 8/21, variation of sewage discharge factor policy. If I move to second to deal with this item, please. Councillor Berry, I thank you. Second, please. Councillor Murray, I thank you, and I'll hand over to Mr. Paul Dell. Present his report.
The purpose of this report is to put up a new policy around full discharge factor in relation to water accounts. And you might recall that this stems from some discussions earlier in the year where we had an application for a variation to sewage discharge factor rate in the local business in Townfield. I guess my concern at the time was that there wasn't a process in place around this, and to be fair to all businesses, it would be better if you had a process and a policy in place. And so that's got some progresses, and it's included in the draft operating plan as well. We're setting up a policy in this regard. And basically, it's saying that if business can prove that the amount of discharge under our system is less than the standard discharge rate of 95% that we apply to all businesses for their water account, then council will, there's a form to be filled in, to provide evidence. That evidence could be either documentation from the supplier of the equipment that they're using, or it could be that they have a meter installed that measures the discharge back into the system, or it could be is a standard industry average that this evidence can be applied. Then they can fill in the application form, send it into council, and we'll assess it and very accordingly. Now, obviously, an example in the case of the local business in question, they have some documentation around some of the equipment that they use that says instead of a 95% discharge, it's 80 to 85. And so we will use that documentation as the basis for making a variation. So it's just about getting a process in place that will be fair to everyone and just following what we said we would do earlier in the year.
Good stuff, Paul. Councillor Berry, question to the report. I'll go to you, Councillor.
Just one short question, I suppose it's why are we only doing for 1 year? Why don't they get a 2 year discharge factor? It seems like they work just for 1 year.
Yeah, so you know, again, I guess the thinking was that, budget operational plans was developed each year, we have a revenue policy each year, which gets adopted, council could change their mind about certain things, and also, businesses might go out of business, there might be different things that happen, so just having a process in place each year to apply the same.
Before we go, I'll come to you, Councillor, after Councillor Dish, Councillor Paul. Before I go to Councillor Dish, and I think, this is showing, I commend you, Paul, to do that conversation with that business, and that council do listen and try our best to work with their businesses, especially with the high uses of such things. I think it's a really good thing. Councillor Dish.
Yeah, that's just it. Just mentioned before, I'm trying to get around this. So, can you explain what you mean by 95% sewage discharge factor?
So it's the amount of water that goes back into our sewage system, basically. And so it's assumed that most businesses around 95% goes back into the system, but in some cases, as I mentioned, some equipment is used, it could be less than that. And so we might retain in machinery or products or whatever. Yeah. So here's an example of the laundry business, for example.
We're seeing the draft.
Okay, thanks.
Councillor.
No, the same question I was going to ask.
Was it? Thank you, Councillor. Any other questions for Paul to do with the report, councillors? Councillors, the recommendations there, all in favour? Again, carried. Councillors, it is 10:30. Fair enough, you want to do another item, then break for smoke out, or go here? Come on. Righto. Page 35, this will take pages over. GOB 36/21, monthly operation report for April. So I move a second to deal with this item, please. Councillor Berry, thank you. Second by Councillor Bob Rogan. Thank you. I'll hand over to our acting Executive Officer to present the monthly report.
Mr. Mayor, happy to take any questions to
Questions to do on the monthly report, Councillor Berry?
I just asked this question on the phone myself, but, what is happening with the Wilson Downhill Cemetery project?
when you state what is happening, where we're up to, so I think I'm just trying to remember, do we know where we've got the sign? I thought the signs have been approved and ordered at this point in time.
Okay, by all means.
Got them ready in the store.
Yep.
We're just waiting on the, Parks and Garden staff to have some time to design over.
That's a small component of it. Facilities providing for the cemetery as well. And Jeff McKillop also have been in contact with the Armadale Uni. He's got some forensic thing now where they can see if bodies are under the ground or the unmarked people. See if the rooms you get there.
Any other questions? Councillors, any other questions to do with the monthly report? First start for our acting CEO. No? Happy enough? I have a bet on you, Councillor.
Yeah, just really quickly, page 21.
Promise?
Yeah, but just tourism. Page 19, about the funding, it says that $20,000 has been fully expended for the video and photo footage across the Shire, excluding Tenterfield, obviously get vision from outside of close to Tenterfield. But then when you look at the 155,000, which says expenditure remains, this is the advertising campaign, expansion and gross reduction. If you come to the top of page 21, it says regional photographic shoot. Why is money coming out of 155 when we have 20,000 to do the external photography? And down further, New England High Country Caravan RV market shoot in select locations, partly completed. I'm not quite sure why that is. And I was also wondering why, out of that money, we did TV ad creation, TV campaign for ticket sales for the Oracle in the Bush. Do we do that for all events or just the Oracles?
I'll have to take that one on notice because I'm really not sure of the details of what those photographs are of sizes that I can do it. So we've got the oracles is the question.
Yeah, as to why
And the regional, the different ones.
I mean, do we do TV campaign for the Pete Rowan Festival or the Beat of the Bush, or is it just the Oracles?
What I might do, in council's consideration is at the next workshop, I might get Emma to actually present the collateral that has actually been provided to the stage, and if we can ask those more detailed questions later.
And also why we're not using the app isn't being used to alert people to things such as when the Today Show turned up with late notice and no one was notified that anything half dozen people in the park.
When it was like to be in defence of the council, that was like notice to everyone.
Yeah, it was, but they knew at lunchtime the day before. You can't get more than, and a lot of people just didn't know. We had an app. I want to know why it's not being used.
Any other questions, councillors, to start to do with the monthly report? No? Right, officers' recommendations, they're all happy to receive and note. Against? Carried. Do I have a motion, councillors, to suspend standing orders, please? Councillor Murray, seconded by Councillor Broden, all in favour? Again, carried. Right, councillors, we'll open the meeting again. We're due for lunch at 12:30, so we'll stick to that program. And thanks everyone to go and view a wonderful facility we've just viewed, and we'll end them up, be up and running hopefully. So we're very proud of that. Hopefully the community appreciates it. Private mover in the second, please, to resume standing orders. Councillor Tom Peters, thank you, Tom. Second, Councillor Michael Petrie, all in favour? Against? Carried. Councillor Mover, page 36 in your hard copy. It's item GOB 37/21. The annual remuneration for councillors and the mayor, 221, 222. And I'll hand over to Paul Smith, do you present this? Is there anything? Thanks, Paul.
So, the local government remuneration on tribunals and increasing the fees paid to the councillor, and the mayor for this year, and that fee's been set at a 2% increase for 2021-2022 financial year. The officer's recommendation there is that we note the determination and that we set the level of fees payable for all councillors to $12,400 per annum effective from 1 July to 30 June, and sets the additional fee payable to the mayor at $27,060 per annum effective 1 July, and sets the reimbursement amount for approved travel using own vehicle at 68 cents per kilometre under 2.5 litres, or 78 cents per kilometre over 2.5 litres and above, where a council vehicle is available. This amount also is in line with our existing budget forecast.
Thanks, Paul. Any questions to Colin or other staff to deal with this report, councillors? Councillor Berry, yes?
Mr. Mayor, I just want to be okay if I'm not amended.
Right. Give us your amendment.
Okay. The council investigate the provision of a narrow vehicle. We haven't done that before. It seems to be the best option. I mean, now you've got to do about $1 million a month, and we've got to pay them, so it's not a cheap to provide a vehicle.
More than happy to bring back a report to that effect and have it something from what the council chooses to do. So it might be just that the amendment with your leave is that that council staff provide a report to the future meeting of council with the amount of kilometres travelled and the costing for the provision of a vehicle.
Can I have a second for the amendment, please? Councillor Bob, thank you. In fairness, Councillor, I am taking this amendment. We have it almost number 5. Can, do you want to speak to the amendment?
No, I think it's good enough. I think it's obvious to anybody that knows in many cases you've got to do it. I don't indicate I've got to do it.
Councillor Rogan, being a second, do you wish to speak to the amendment?
No, Mr. Mayor, I think it's good to have an option.
He speaks against? Sorry, Councillor Forbes.
Mr. Rose, you have access to current council?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Happy for the amendment to go forward, and I have no problems with the world we live in at the moment. But anyway, the amendment's there and it's been moved and seconded. Now speakers against? Yeah, Kirsten.
Are you ever refused a council vehicle?
As you can see, what I'm driving at the moment is a ute, very comfortable. Should have shovels in the back. No, Councillor Brown, very good question. And at very short notice, we provide the vehicle, and lots of times when I want to go do a quick tour and stuff like that, things are what I'm interested in or interested in, but never been denied, obviously not denied, but council staff absolutely fantastic. Yeah, it's always provided. And if I need to have it for an extended period, it is always there, and I've had that one for an extended period. So I don't want to see staff without a vehicle. So, yeah, so where it's at. Just for thought. Okay, all in favour of the amendment? Against? Carried. Now we put up the officer's recommendation. If there's no more questions to the report, councillors, all in favour? Against? Carried. Page 39. Item GOV 38/21. Quarterly budget review statement March 2021. I'll move a second to deal with this, please. Councillor Forbes, I thank you. Second, please. Councillor Peters, I'll take you as a second. Thank you. And I'll hand over to Acting Manager of Finance and Technology. Yes, welcome, Jess, as always.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, so this first report is the March 2021 quarterly budget review statement. The full financial report can be found in attachment 2. So from the changes in our budgets for this year, this had no net effect on the operating deficit that we presented with December quarterly budget review of $1.965 million. The operating surplus has increased slightly to $39.149 million, which is the surplus when you include capital grants and contributions. This has increased because we had some new grants received in the last quarter. In particular, there's four grants for bridges, which is the bulk of that change. So because there's been very minimal changes in the operational expenditure, so that's a very minor increase in our ratios as well. Of page 42 of the reports, we've provided updated balances of the development contributions as of 31st of March. And then also on page 43, the halfway down, I put in that the capital expenditure changes, which is the bulk of the changes in this QBR, so $1.9 million, which is the majority of that is for the bridges that I mentioned. We've also removed $503,000 in council-funded capital budgets for the sewer area. This is just because these projects now have been deferred until later financial year, which is presented in our operation plan. Any questions on budget review?
Any questions to Jess to do the budget review?
Yeah.
Councillor Michael Peake, we'll take you first and then Councillor.
Page 42 is development contributions. That's how long is the period down to the month or
So that's year to date, this current financial year.
half financial year? So these numbers are writing, so that's what they owe $15,000 to the water fund. That cost out the contribution, you know.
Yes, that's how much is being collected in development contributions for the year.
There's securities.
Yeah, which then goes towards funding and capital infrastructure works.
Thank you, Councillor. Thanks, Jess. Councillor Bromley, you've indicated?
Yes, I was just wondering within the budget, I just couldn't find where the chief executive improvements in there.
That was in the December quarterly budget. We added to bring out to the $50,000 budget for that. So it's not specified in this one.
This one. And the final question was, with regard to unforecast expenditure, I know Councillor Murray's already spoken this morning about stress, etc. Someone has asked me if a party or parties wish to pursue civil action against Councillor Murray. Would Councillor Murray's legal defence come from our budget, or is that up to Councillor?
It would depend on what, if it's relating to the particular item in question that council has already resolved, then Councillor Murray would need to get his own legal advice, and depending on that, we should be saying that we don't believe it can be covered. That's the generic answer, if that makes sense, but it does depend on what that challenge is, so without looking at it and saying no, depending on the advice we get.
Okay. Any other questions to Jess or any other stuff to do with our report with the councillors? What I'm doing on that, councillors, and Jess and Paul, thank you. Page 44 with your last paragraph above. Yes, it is indicated deficit excluding capital grants is not a satisfactory outcome, in my view, and therefore remedial action has been proposed in accordance with the Local Government Act. I commend you on putting that paragraph in the report. It keeps council and reminding council that we're in a pretty tight situation and we need to be managing our finances as good as we can. This is where council, and it's happened in the last little while, come unstuck, big time. So please don't stop that, because it's something we need to deal with, and it's a serious issue. I noticed, and it's not that I'm going to raise it, but only this week, while on your hour listening to the radio on Monday, that Liverpool Plains and Armidale, they've both been on Monday morning, been approved of the special race variation, and councillors, I can see that that's into the future. There will be many more councillors who need to go down that road to keep their operational. And the Mayor of Liverpool Plains spoke on the ABC that morning, and spoke very well actually, to do with the community meetings they had, and the fact that they just need that to keep operating. It was about 8%. Paul, did you follow that at all? Yeah, I think it was an 8% or something like that over a period. I didn't hear what Armidale asked for, but it was both approved. So I'm not frightening councillors, but into the future, it could be the new council elected after September on the deal. That's something that I do appreciate myself personally. That's it. Thank you. Okay, councillors, reports there. All in favour? I'm sorry, Gary. I apologise, councillors. Do you have a question to do with the report?
You mentioned the special race variation.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, I think every council on themselves is against the rate variation.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those things you've got to look at, as you said. And I think the sooner you do it, the less. Going the last one you had, it was 15% a year for 3 years. I think we've got to actually look at this ASAP, so you can put the rates, the variation as low as possible. In my opinion, it's easier to sell 1% than to sell 10%.
No, thank you, Councillor, for comments. And councillors, please don't think that I'm frightened by saying that, but I'm serious about I'm not good at finances. That's why we have good staff to do is to do this work and present these reports to us, but it's something as a council that we always should be wary of and always have them conversations with our financial department going forward to keep our council in good order. Councillor Bond, yes?
I know it's one of our things is this cost, and Terry often spoke, was cost shifting from the state government to the councils. Has there been any move? I know we get motions into local government conference, etc. Any move on halting cost shifting?
Good question, and I'm sure that other councils with the conferences, especially Alga in the state conference at the end of the year, November, I think, that they will be on the agenda. Of course they will, because we're not unique in the situation we're in. So, good question.
I was going to say, they seem to be hidden, which is half the drama. It depends on you get something new, which is still a form of cost shifting. So at the moment, as we know, our emergency service levy went up more this year in an account than what our entire rates were collected with the increase in the PEG. So we're already behind the eight ball, just not keeping up. That's one. Then we get the next account or a change in legislation, changes in waste legislation, changes in looking at caps on domestic waste management fees, and so on and so forth. The more regulation, the more the cost shift it is because we have to keep picking up the tab.
In that case, is it an appropriate thing for the mayor to put out a press release about the fact that, for instance, this cost shifting, so that the ratepayers are aware? They go, oh, council got so many stuff, but what they forget is that council's getting more and more responsibility shifted. Just explaining the cost shifting and using that as an instance that the rate increase doesn't even cover the new increase that the state government's now put on our emergency services.
Happy to, council.
That even shows people the reality of what we're doing.
That's all. Happy to.
I'm happy to move that.
Did you make a call just to do this conversation around it? Or that's it? It all?
I think that's been said. I think it's a serious problem and something that we have to be addressed going forward. And yes, agricultural, the public, we know that. It's we have to do sustainability.
Yeah. But once again,
Do you think that is a motion, or you just do it?
no, I want to take it as a comment and happy to, and I know with the help of the wonderful staff, get to deal with all the time, we'll draft up something and get it tidied up. But be supportive of what you said, Ian, that yes, it is something that especially in the last year or two, has been coming up at every conference we have, because it's just there, black and white. But to break myself, it's just a serious thing we're dealing with. I think we're dealing with it in a very good way, because we speak of it all the time. That's not fixing it, but at least we're aware. We just don't get hit with it one day and think, oh, where'd that come from? Yeah, so I think we just give all the stuff.
So the public may then contact the local members and say this is not fair.
That's good over. Right, councillors, reports there, all in favour? Against, carried. Councillors, page 45, item GAV 39/21, finance and accounts, period end of 30th of April 2021. Moving the second here, please. Councillor Berry, I'll take you as the mover, and Councillor Michael Peter, I'll take you as the second. Thank you. And once again, I'll hand over to Jessica Wild, who's our Minister of Finance.
This is just the normal monthly finance and accounts report for the period of the 30th of April. As you can see, at the bottom of page 45, our general bank account balance was 7.42 million, and we had $466,000 in the trust. We also had $4.37 million in investments. 603 certificates continue to be processed at a much higher rate than last year. Year to date, we had 152 applications compared to 48 for the same period last year. And for the month of April, we only had one water leakage possession granted.
Thanks, Jeff. Just a question from me as Chair first. Is that the, I don't mean anything by, it's just a question with our investments. Is that the least we've had there for a while? The 4 million?
Probably the last year or so since I've been doing the report. We had to pull back one of the investments last month because a lot of the capital infrastructure payments coming through there. So we paid much higher weekly payments, so that was really well. That just to make sure that the cash.
Yeah. So obviously when that comes in consolidated, that's why that 7 million is
That's
there.
what
Yeah.
just there.
Any other questions to our finance department to do with that report, councillors? No? The report's there to receive and note. All in favour? Again, carried. Councillors, page 49 in your hard copy. It's item GOB 40/21. capital expenditure report as of the 30th of April 2021. Move and second here, please. Councillor Bronwyn, Peter, will take you as the mover, and you, Councillor Bob Rogan, as the seconder. And once again, I'll hand over to Jess to present the report.
So, through you, Mr. Mayor, this is the monthly capital expenditure report period ended 30th of April. The full report's found in attachment 4. Any questions on that?
Councillor Bronwyn?
Just to the transfer stations, under the new landfill remediation, it says here on both items, EPA approved requirements under review. What do we mean by under review? Are we reviewing the requirements, or are we reviewing how we're going to comply with it?
I'm not even sure that was the comment from the waste manager. I believe the EPA picked up the report, is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of both, basically. And so they provided a report and we are addressing the report at
That's whether we can make the rest.
the moment.
And the second one was the 70,000 on the next line item for Mingula Open Transfer Station, of which 29,857 has been expended, which I presume is for the site office procurement. And it says under negotiation for purchase. Is that 70,000 for setting up the landfill, transfer station, pretty well like we've just seen, exclusive of purchasing that block of land, or does that include the purchasing? The 70,000?
I'll have to take that on that.
Any other questions to our finance department to do with the report, councillors? The officer's recommendations here, all happy to receive the note. Against? Carried. Councillors, moving to page 51 in your hard copy. Item GOB 41/21. Report on loan balances. Can I have a mover and second here, please? Councillor Murray, I'll take you as the mover, and I'll take you as the second, Councillor Berry. And once again, I'll hand over to Jess from our finance and technology.
Thank you. So this is the quarterly update on our loan balances as of the 31st of March. So this has actually gone up since the last quarterly report. So now we've currently got a balance of 13.932 million. This is because of the new loan for just over 4 million that was taken out at the very end of March, which was approved at the March Council meeting for the works infrastructure. And then the full details can be seen on page 53 of all the different loans we currently have.
Any questions to Jess or Paul to do with that report, councillors? No, the report said councillors, all happy to receive a note. Against? Carried. Councillors, we move on to our reports from committees and delegates, page 54 in your hard copy. It's item RC 13/21 to do with the Tourism Advisory Committee meeting on Wednesday, 7th of Feb. Councillor Rogan, being a delegate and chairperson, I'm happy to move that one.
Yes.
Can I have a second, please? Councillor, I'll take you, Councillor Peters. As a second, Councillor Rogan, I'll hand over to you to present the report.
As it states that last tourism advisory meeting was on the 7th of February, basically it was a very good meeting, considering we had a lot of input from council staff in regards to updates, particularly through the expenditure of grant funds and that sort of stuff that was allocated to tourism line. So that was much appreciated. Otherwise, the minutes are there. I'm happy for questions.
Any questions, Councillor Bock, to do with the meeting? No? If not, the report's there, councillors, all happy to receive a note. Against? No. Councillors, we move on to our page 58, hard copy, item RES 4/21. Council resolution registered for May 2021. I'll move and second here, please. Councillor Robin, I'll take you. Second, please. Councillor Murray, I'll take you as a seconder. And I'll hand over to our Chief Executive Officer to present the report. Any questions to Polly as an acting CEO to do with that? Councillor Bronwyn, yes?
Two questions, thanks, Polly. Leasing of council-owned property, I know we're referring to vendors. Has there been any action as yet on the leasing land?
Not to the best of my knowledge. Should, if you have anything else?
There is a legitimate agreement. Is that the name around waste treatment?
Yeah.
Sewage treatment,
There was a legitimate agreement entered into a couple of years ago, still got a year to run, I think. So an invoice had been sent out.
Invoice was up, that was the finalisation, because the other one isn't. The other one that was recently advertised, we didn't get any.
That's Bengal's.
Yeah, so there was no,
So you
no
know,
channel of
Gary.
Gary has said that he's going to move out in probably June or July, on the position of what he said about a month ago.
But there actually is one in place for the
He's
sewage.
paid 250. Yeah, the sewage farm.
So that was actually resolved a couple of years ago.
Yes, yeah.
Well, that's good to hear because I've taken us to accept that.
Because we were told that it was going to be advertised, but, which it never, was never advertised, but obviously an agreement was
A
done.
legitimate agreement was
That's
entered
fine.
into.
The second question was in relation to page 21, about the Peter Allen Festival. It's got here an extension was granted. The business chain will meeting on the 11th May discuss whether they can run the festival or not, which I believe they will. But I'm just querying here, it says Jai Council has received $10,000 so far. A further $10,000 will be paid post-event. So how's that help the committee if they get the $10,000 after they hold the event? Page 21. So it carries up on the bottom of page 20 to 21. So there's $20,000 received through a Destination New South Wales grant to run the Peter Allen Festival. It was supposed to be done last year, but because of COVID, it got extended. So it's going to be done this year, probably on the October one again. Just wondering about the 20,000 though, that they've paid the council 10,000, but the notation there that the other 10,000 won't be received by council till post the event. How does that help people pay to run a festival?
I'll have to take that one on notice, I'm not sure enough about the requirements.
Because if they're going to get receipts to come, they don't go, well, you come up and when we get the money, we'll pay you later, mate.
And where the council?
So providing the chamber can show, yes, we're going to do it, this is what we're going to do. Hopefully we can say we want the money up front.
Not all funding, it depends on the funding agreement, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Actually have a look at the funding agreement, it sounds like it is staged, so once again, you get so much as we do upfront to actually put on an event, then the rest is subject to actually providing.
Which is not unusual.
No, so it's not.
Is council in position to give the chamber the other 10 and then receive the money from Destination New South Wales?
That's what I'm saying, I'm not aware at this point in time of what the chamber needs, whether or not that's been something they've asked for, so obviously that.
They'll give the 20.
The funding discussions obviously already been held, what I need to find out is whether there's any anxiety from that group about the funding arrangements that we've provided for, so, yeah.
They can't do it without.
No, I know that. The other questions to do with the resolution registered councillors, Councillor Murray.
Mr. Mayor, I'm digressing here a little. The Bengal's lease has a lease. Who is responsible for the fencing on that lease?
I would think it would be the leasing. Oh, mate. Does that sound right?
The lease expired, it was only a 2-year lease, it's expired this year. And Gary Holly is the one we're talking about?
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know all the different places off by that. He's paying month to month. So the rent was $3,000 a year and he's on the same condition as paying month to month. But he has said that he will probably cease in June or July. But look out for fencing would be his responsibility.
And all to be supportive of Dev's comments there, Councillor Murray, or anyone's own livestock on there. I mean, obviously it's the owner would be the person that's leased under the agreement would be maintaining the fences, if that's what you're referring to.
Yeah.
But if you're talking renewal, then now then you'd be talking a whole different thing also.
But we have to read into the lease as such, it's not.
As far as maintaining the fences, no different to, I would think no different not to council follows local land services, but when you lease or get a 3 or 5 year lease on the current stock reserve, you're responsible for everything, weeds, fences, whole lots of dogs.
Maintenance. So a beast gets through the fence and breaks it or something, that's responsibility of the lessee. If you need a new fence, that would be a capital item, and that would be their full responsibility.
Councillor McGish, you indicated?
Oh, yes, Mr. Mayor, just a little bit of clarification there. I leased that place for about 6 or 7 years before Gary took it over. And one of the reasons I got out of it was because cattle kept getting on my way because the front fence was in such a bad way. I talked to Dave Mitchell, the director at the time. He said there's no funding for it. Fix it up yourself, well, don't worry about it. It was dangerous.
Yeah.
Wires are all musty.
Well, on a serious note, like you said, it's a big bushfire going through recently. On a positive note, these are things at budget time or whatever that we need to do if we're going to continue down here as a council, just the way I see it, and continue to offer that area for lease. We would then need to be fed in about the same different, especially the fence that we supported your comments, Councillor McGish. If a fence is not stop proof on the highway, well, I think it would be something the council would be looking need to be budgeted to renew, to continue down that with leasing it. Because, if someone's going to lease it, then all of a sudden they've got to spend all this money on fencing. Maintaining the fence is the easiest thing to do. Getting the wire straight, managing your stock as you should, be it whatever. Go, cattle, horse, whatever you're running.
Well, sorry, just a question is because if stock does stray on the highway, there's a fatality.
Oh, all the
It's
above.
very messy.
All the above. Yeah. But without getting too deep in this, obviously they would have to present no different when you do a travel stock as a public liability, and we all on the leasees that have to present public liability. Not that fixes the problem, Councillor. No. But you raise a good point. And if we're fair dinkum, we're continuing down that road, yes, I can see that we'll need to renew the fencing. It looks pretty ordinary. Yeah, but it needs to be budgeted for. Okay. Any other questions to do with the council resolution, rest of councillors? Reports that councillors all happy to receive a note. Against, carried. Councillors, bear with me because we've got to our public forum. I just can't see if the ladies want to be out and bash council about anything. Right, councillors. Right, councillors, with all the pleasure, we're still in the meeting. The wonderful community of Torrington, and before I put it in our public forum, now it has been noted, I'm sharing with councillors, that people, community have indicated that, because we've advertised for 1:30, that they were coming, yes? Okay, so what we'll do, I think, because we've got 15 minutes before our scheduled lunch break, so we'll have 15 minutes to give you an opportunity to raise any issues you have in your community out here, which need addressing by council, because all our council staff are here, and then we'll take our lunch break, and if people do turn up, or won't officially close the meeting until then. Okay? So after lunch, because I hate to be challenged that we close our meeting and give you an opportunity to speak. So, once again, what I'd ask you, if you do have an issue, but whatever it is, that it's to be relevant to this particular village, in the area around here, please, if you stand, just give us your name, so we know who we're talking to, and then fire away. So, floor's open. Yep, by all means. Welcome down.
our chips supposedly going to be open soon. What I want to know is what are we going to do with all the bird stuff? We've still got on our property which we can't get rid of.
From the fires?
From the fires, from the clean-up since the fires. Also, we've been without a tip since November 2019. I've been told we'll get a month's grace at taking our stuff to the tip. I really think that we should have at least 12 months grace to get all our stuff cleaned up. That's all I have to say.
By all means, do we got?
Look, I was going to say that's, I think Fiona probably can answer some of the questions about burn rubbish, I'm hoping. The question, I guess, comes back, have we finalised all of the bushfire cleanup at this point in time? Is the process all run? We had to nominate to come in for Public Works to come around and do the cleanup. Is that process finalised? We're waiting for people to come back and clean up, or they've said, right, we're done with that bushfire cleanup now, we've moved on.
And can I ask, are we talking about building waste or are you talking about vegetation? Like waste?
Waste that's on our property, burnt wire, burnt fences, burnt 20-litre drums, all the things that got, impacted by the fire. We've still got stuff on our properties. Because all sorts of stuff. I mean, we just got told that we couldn't, they were cleaning up the village, but they weren't cleaning up anybody's properties. And then we had nowhere to take any of the waste that we had.
I'll chase that up. Do we have a list or a contact person? Because the last I knew, you had to register for them to come round and actually do the clean.
They did come round. They wouldn't take, we asked them, and they wouldn't take any of our stuff from there.
Out of town now.
Unless it was a building.
Yep, okay, so this is out of town.
Within the village, racing. And I'm happy to raise it with our state member too, because it's a state issue. Correct me if I'm wrong there.
And the people of the village weren't allowed to burn their rubbish, but yet the Tenfield Shire burnt the tree rubbish over at the gravel pit.
And then we were told we couldn't put any brown waste on.
And they couldn't cut those trees up and salt them for fire.
Could have let people take them.
I'll have to take that on notice.
That's already gone. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right.
That's the past.
That's a past issue, but it remains. How many people do we know? How many properties do we think we still have that need clean up from as a result of the fire of Sunbury Isles?
So pretty much everyone in the village has got some stuff that needs to be removed. And out.
And are you able to take that stuff to the tip? Like the wire and everything else?
We are having a wire, steel collection, so there's no reason that we wouldn't take that. But are we talking about having some assistance or just somewhere to dump it?
Well, it'd be really lovely if council came around and do it.
Yeah, it's certainly a scrap metal. We certainly collect that. And at times, what we do is put the residents in touch with the contractor that comes and collects it. So I'll just check out with the waste manager exactly what she's intending for the next run on SIG.
We'll take that on board and then we'll also get in touch with the various different stakeholders on the bushfire cleanup and just see where they're up to, because I do know that Blaze Aiden and others are coming out again in the next couple of months to do some work across the shire. So, as I said, we'll see where they're up to. So
Okay, thank you. What else? Yes?
Senator Marquez, out the front of the shed, put new pipes in, are you going to seal from the bitumen to the concrete?
Good question.
The fire shed?
I'm unaware of the pipes that have been put in at the RFS actually.
Well, everybody else has made, there's pipes in the range with bitumen there, on a new driveway. You put a new typed in, you did not see it.
James was correct there. I'm not sure if I think he was planning to go back and finish it off when they finished off the waste transfer station, as far as I know.
If he was doing it as part of the private works job as an approved driveway, the intention will be to seal it. I'd say what James is doing is that now is not the right time of year to be sealing. So when we come through and do Sherritt Lane and we do Solid Grove Road out to the waste transfer station and within the waste transfer station, the Shire's only got the ability to spray coal bitumen, which is not a really long-term viable option. It's only for patching really. So when we do that, we'll do it with hot bitumen with a contractor. But it's likely to be after September when the weather's better for putting bitumen down, so we get a lot longer life out of it. So it'll probably get up at the same time as what you're saying.
Thank you.
We'll pop that one on the list as well to make sure.
And to be supportive. So Bob did raise it with me when we had the opening of the mobile town area. So I was aware of it, then yes, I would say it's in the program to do it. Yeah. Okay? Thank you. Any other questions? Yep, by all means.
Joanne Roller from Tunks.
Welcome.
Thank you. What about speed signs around that road? That is an absolute waste traffic signs. It's no good waiting till there's an accident.
Which particular road, sorry?
Side road. Yeah, all the way down to the Also, where you've graded the road, that broken gully that runs right down the road, to stop us from getting into our big driveways. How are we supposed to fix that? And also clearing our fence line. How do we stand on withdraw trees, like council land trees? Can we legally cut some of them because it affects our fence line?
So this on the Solid Grove Road.
Yeah.
Yep.
So number one on Solid Grove Road, it's against every regulation and legislation to put speed signs on unsealed road. So it's something that we can probably look at through the local traffic committee once it's sealed, and potentially any traffic calming devices. If you could let me know which two driveways you're talking about, because obviously if we're going to be preparing that road for the seal, we will be making sure that we make sure the accesses are right. We've been in a little bit of a rush trying to get the roads just back to be at least serviceable for traffic. It's not that we're not coming back to do them, we're just doing what they call in the disaster planning emergency works, just to get the road open, operational, and to a satisfactory or safer standard. So we will be coming back and doing some work, but particularly in that section out to the waste transfer station, that'll definitely be reshaped to take probably get a 5.5 metre bitumen seal on it.
Just later when you can't get into two accesses now.
Well, what about field one for me, because to get into
If you can let me know, or let me know exactly where they are, what the property number is. 470.
And the other one about the trees.
Trees in the road reserve.
Yeah, the trees on the fence line, we've got to re-fence everything like that. So can we legally cut some of those trees down that are actually shallow? Or can we just look at them down there?
That we will go 6 metres into the
Under the Local Land Services Act, yes, you can clear within 6 metres of property boundary.
Oh, okay. I'm not getting
6 metres either side. What we do ask you to do is just, it's called Section 138, it's working within the road reserve, is just to advise us of that, just in case we're aware of any species out there that are endangered. That's right. So we just ask you to let us know because you'll be working in the road reserve. But under the Local Land Services Act, you can clear on a boundary fence, 6 metres either side of it, and on an internal fence, 3 metres either side.
No, you go more. Under the local land services allowables, you can go a linear distance of 30 metres, which you can split between your internal and external roads in this area. But when you're dealing with the public land thing, it's 6 metres their side, so you can go 24 metres your side and 6 on the council side. Except that last year the minister announced that they were putting through changing the IFS Act to take the public land boundary out to 25 metres, but I don't know if they've done it yet. But certainly at the moment, or Up until that time, you're allowed 6 metres on the public side, and you can go up to 24 on your side if you need to, under the local land services allowables.
And again, all we ask you is to contact the engineering department and we'll send it through the process of the 138 to remove the emergency.
More questions? Yep, by all means.
Ada Station.
Welcome, Ada.
My question is, I wanted to paint pictures on the posts down the main street. I just wondered what I had to do that.
Because when you say the post, do you mean the telegraph poles? I don't know if we've got to start thinking into that. I commend you on your passion, and I think it looks absolutely fantastic, but that's Essential Energy. It's their property, and you have to have a conversation with them. I'm not passing the buck, but yeah.
We own the globes, they own the posts.
We don't mind per se, someone is essentially.
How long do you think before the bitumen?
So,
Not before September, because the weather, it's just too cold to spray the bitumen at the moment.
any other
But
questions?
we'll be by the end of the calendar year, sorry.
Yeah, by all means.
Trevor Lane, they did some road work on that. New pipe even, as soon as we got the first huge down, we all it did was fill up all the drains in front of my place. Every time it rains, that's what happens. As fast as I take the stuff out, it rains again, it just fills it back up again. And all the drains are Sheriff, Chuncher, all of this dirt, they just washed away. And I've had the trucks going backwards and forwards, so I wandered out to the pond and stuff. I just wanted to put in actually fix the surface of that road to the business.
Which one was it again? Tom Troy.
Can I ask you what happened in the March rains?
Is that when we got the 250 units?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had a lake right out the front of my place. It was coming around the corner, but it had that much stuff come down from the road. It had filled up the drain, there was nowhere for it to go, so it just flooded the whole road.
And we've found since the fires, because of the breakdown that happens with the soil, is that we've got a lot more of that. So what we're doing, and it's a bit of a long process at the moment because it's not just one area that's been hit in the Shire, it's the entire Shire that got hit with those rains. So we're going around at the moment, we're actually picking up all the damage. Like I said, where a road's literally unsafe or people aren't able to carry out their business with their cattle trucks, etc. They're the emergency works that we're doing. But in time, we'll go through the whole Shire and pick that up, and we'll be trying to do that under the disaster funding that we receive. So that if it's lost gravel, then we'll be attempting to get grant funding to put gravel back on it. But it's not something that I guarantee a time frame. It will happen when we've got 3 contractors out there and their own crews, and they're just progressively getting around. But we haven't actually got beyond being able to do those emergency opening works. What the next stage is what they call immediate reconstruction, which is coming back in and taking things back to what they were prior to the event.
Thank you.
Can I just say too, over the last several months, you've had a whole of people trucks back to forward short trucks, and they have been fantastic on the road as far as they slow down and you pass in their way.
Thank you.
Good to hear. A lot of that's been in their building at the waste transfer station, I think, as well.
I don't know what they were doing, but they'll always get on the road and feel safe. Thank you.
Yep.
On the side of the road,
Yep.
there's trees that are leaning over the road like this.
Yep.
And if a truck has to go on there, it has to cross to the wrong side of the road to go round the tree, over the trees.
But is that on this entrance from this western side, or when we're heading back to Deepwater? Which?
We're heading to Deepwater, the other side of Spencer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's trees there that are really like, we look at them, they're like this, like that, from the outside. They're not, but I mean, they're still, and they're nuisance, they're hanging over. If you get a truck, you have to cross the other side. You can go over.
I'll have somebody have a look.
Okay.
So we can do.
Are you gonna respray the road again, or? For the weeds? Yeah.
I can go. Well, in my former role, we extended a lot of funding from the federal government in doing that. So I haven't really got the budget to do it at the moment. So we've been. Look, once again, if it's close to, yeah, I was going to say, if it's close to your own property, same thing. If you're working in a road reserve, please get a permit and just discuss with us what you'd like to do, and we'll have that conversation when we do that. We just don't want to see somebody getting injured if they are working in those road reserves.
Not when you're sort of self-helping.
So more than happy to have a conversation about what you'd like to do. Just want to make sure the right things I'm personally not concerned about spray drift terribly much.
Not my hand.
Not at that level. As I said, the issue comes back as being if there is a sensitive species somewhere that we know through an REF process that we need to look after. But as I said, if it's a genuine weed, then obviously we need to do that. So we have to try to pour that funding in to get across as much as we could and give us a little bit of a start in the rural activities.
Okay. We'll all break for lunch and in fairness to the community, because we have got it advertised that we'll come back at 1:30, and if there's any other comments or questions to do with the public forum, we'll open our meeting up again. So
I'll just let the residents know that Torrington Road at the bridge that we're replacing down there will commence in 2 to 3 weeks' time. And there'll be a sidetrack in place for light vehicles, but heavy vehicles will be required to use castle rack. So just so you know that's starting to happen in the next few weeks. That's all. So we'll probably do a letter drop once we hear from fisheries, because we're waiting for their approval for us to proceed. But just to let you know that's about to commence in the area.
thank you, Joe. Can I have a motion to suspend standing orders again, please? Councillor Forbes, thank you. Second by Councillor Berry, thank you. All in favour? Yeah, carried. Break for lunch. Okay, councillors, we'll bring our meeting back into order. Can I have a motion to suspend standing orders, please? Councillor Forbes, thank you. Second by Councillor Berry, thank you. All in favour? Against, carried. Obviously, we're just going to continue our public forum, and I'll come to our new visitors in a minute. But councillors, could you please, and what a wonderful lunch, thank you, our Torrington Committee for a wonderful lunch. Absolutely beautiful, and we always cater for well here. We're doing all other village areas, but something special about Torrington, you just go that extra mile. I love the chicken, I could take all that home. Anyway. Right, so we're back in our public forum session of our meeting. So to the new people, it's about issues or concerns you may have in your area. So it's an opportunity for you to voice them. We have all our staff here to deal with such things. But if you have concerns, please stand and introduce yourself and then continue on. So the floor is open to you. Steve, if you wish.
My name's Steve Reed. I live on 34 Car Creek Road, which has had a lot of talk about the road, about upgrades and all that stuff. As far as upgrading it and getting investment, I'm not really concerned about that. At the moment, we've got a speed issue. I live on the bend, I live on the first property on the right. It's the only clear property down that way on the right. We live right on a bend, so we have no view either way down that bend. Cars can sit on 100 k's an hour. Our biggest problem is the trees that are along our fence line there are all widow makers. Most of them are widow makers. I've been here 17 years, and not once has the council been along there and cleared any of these trees, any of the foliage, or anything like that. So I've had to clear a lot of that trees. It takes out a fence, I cut it up, use firewood, then I felt repair my fence. So that's the thing that I've had to deal with for the 7 years that we've been here. I'm speaking today, I want to know, speaking to the council today, I've heard that I can actually clear 6 metres over that. Is that true? Or is that only for property owners?
Engineering department.
Yeah.
It's generally boundary.
Yeah, that was what I thought. I thought it was boundary for fire clearance and stuff like that. I didn't know whether I could do that onto the roads as per se, as in a road easement or anything like that. If I could find that out, that would make it easier for me and probably cut back on fines or something like that if I was to clear a tree. So that's my biggest concern with the Tar Creek Road is it actually needs to have a lot of the big trees that are there actually cleared. And the other point that I want to bring out is with the RFS. The Tar Creek Road is the main access, and it was for this last major fire we had. They used our property as, because it was a cleared property, as like a rendezvous area, because it was cleared, safe, and all that stuff. We were very lucky. The fires went right around every one of our boundaries, but we had the RFS on our property, virtually protecting it. If we didn't, they would all come right through. So that has to be cleared and made proper, so that it is a safe escape, basically, because to try and get back from down the bottom of Tar Creek Road, where those big bombers and all that were going through. That's it for Tar Creek Road. There is one other issue that I want to raise, and that is with the fires we had recently, especially down over the mountain and stuff like that. There's a lot of dwellings down there that I know are illegal. They've been built, our property, our sheds are legal with council. I spoke to a guy who was outside our property flying a drone from the Tenfield Shire Council that had a Tenfield Shire thing on his truck. I want to know what the results are and whether they've taken any action against these sheds that are illegal all the way around, because it's the fireys are putting their lives on the line to save these illegal sheds that shouldn't even be there. So if someone could actually follow that up and find out something about that, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Yep.
Floor's open.
Yeah, hi, I'm the Birch. I live on the corner of Tar Creek Road. Steve really rounded up everything about Tar Creek Road. The only other issue that we have is speed. You can, if for some reason when a car meets a dirt road, they become road drivers. So, and they seem to put the foot down and go hell for leather straight down that road. And then they come hell for leather straight up the road. And with the tree issue and the rain that it had, and I can think of 3 instances where there's been years with people coming out of their driveway and a car screaming down the road. So it's just not if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. So to me, a solution simply would be to speed limit on the road. I know that you can say, oh, well, we all put space and no obviously limited, blah, 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 but we have to assume people don't know. So, even if it's a 50-kilometre drive with a 50-kilometre sign, the road works are done when the trees have gone, the signs have gone too. The name of the road sign's gone, so forth. So there's actually no sign. And there never was a speed limit sign. So that's a safety issue for people that live on the road, for the maintaining of the road, and keep driving down there at speed, wrecking the road as well.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Happy to take that to the Roads and Traffic Committee meeting, that's where it belongs. And we'll take that to a roads and traffic committee meeting. The sad world we live in, everything's got to have a starting point and go to where it needs to be dealt with. Sorry for
I just want to make one comment. Guidelines and legislation don't allow us to actually put speed signs or speed zones on an unsealed road. However, we can look into warning signs and reinstating signs that have gone. But there may be other means and mechanisms of signage that we can look at to reduce the speed. That sort of thing. Yeah. Yeah, even as far as say, the curve signs on the black on yellow that you see, we're not even supposed to put the advisory speed signs that like you see, like 45 kilometres. Yeah, so I can't recommend a speed, and I can't post a speed, but we can certainly look at warning signs and, like you say, the concealed entrances and things like that. Most of those products are only short-lived, but it's something that we can consider. We're certainly taking on board. Some of it also depends on what sort of material the road is made of and what products are available for that particular material as well. I haven't actually had a look at that at the work, but we're certainly, after talking to Steve earlier, we're going to go through and do another tree inspection with our in-house arborist and see what else needs to be done. The trees that were taken were those identified as being dangerous by an arborist after the fires.
Oh, no, that's right. No, but what we're saying is, why hasn't the work been finished?
As far as I'm aware, it has been. Those trees that have been identified by an arborist that we got funding to remove.
Okay, all right. Because it sort of just went down, but not really quite. Not 500 metres from the rest of the road. That's all we're asking. Whether how far it was going to go, or
look, whether he deemed them as unsafe at the time, I don't know. But that's what we're required to do, was actually get an arborist point of view to tell us that they were unsafe after the fire to obtain that disaster funding to remove them.
Well, we appreciate the ones you did cut out.
Oh, very much so. Very much so.
Thank you for that.
Anything else?
No.
So did you have something else?
Yeah, cool. Is there any chance of down the track, down Cataract Road, there's only one vendor. It's right outside my driveway. And the reason it's there is back on Cataract Road was actually formed. There was a massive big oak type tree there, so they went around it. That tree's not there anymore. Is there any chance of getting that road straight? I don't know what, if it could be done, future planning, because it's the most dangerous part of that whole road, really, So, yeah.
But we'll have to look at it. I'd have to look at property boundaries, etc., before even say that it's a possibility.
Yeah.
We certainly have it.
Can you put a stop sign on the road when you go Garden Road?
That would have to go through the local traffic committee.
It'd have to go to a local roads and traffic committee.
Because that's slowing those ones that come in blind, they have to stop and then Garden Road.
Yep. We'll definitely take it to there. Gary, did you have a comment?
Yeah, look, I think the best way to handle that one is write to council and ask to write to the Roads and Traffic Committee and say that we want a T, or on that T junction we want
I have received correspondence to do with the road, and I'll be tabling that at the next roads and traffic committee. Okay? So that's exactly where it's going to go.
Particularly with regulatory speed signs, we need to have RMS concurrence for those sort of signs.
And sadly, for everything, it's our road and it's in our LGA, but that's the rules and regs that we live under. Whether it's right or wrong, that's just the world we're in.
And I don't like to speak out school, but when the construction was being done on that road, I did have to have a chat with Violet, who was guiding the truck on that road, because he was, as he took the truck down, I would probably say
2 seconds for him to fly down the road with the truck flying past. And then the same amount of he was doing the same speed coming up with a full laden truck. And I wish I had filmed it for you, but then it stopped it.
But is that with the shower trucks or is that with the dump truck?
That was with the dump truck and the pile in front. No, the pilot and the dump truck. Yeah. They never even started going to go from Kentucky to Australia. However, that's anything to do with the county. No, it's like goes on. Or stuff. Or very lucky an accident didn't happen.
Well, that's a private contract, isn't it?
It was, I just wanted to let you know that I had to stop him and slow him down and ask him to go slow and to, because when you come out of that section, that when you come out of the Powerhouse Reserve, there's a bend here and you can't see people coming up to the last second, so you really. And that's where the school bus came around and up, so that's why we went. So you need to slow down and stop. I don't know whether that's your guide or whether it's subcontracted. That was a major concern.
Okay.
No, is it local street?
Of course you can.
The fire shed up there.
Yep.
Bishman.
Yeah.
Is that
Already, they got in before you. All good. Very good question.
I just had, I was just wondering, the speeding people, are they locals or are they out?
Well, since probably the last 12 months, there's probably another 10 people live up there, property sold. Yeah. And it's all their contractors and people that work for themselves. So there's a lot more people in that street than what was it?
Yeah. The other thing was, with what Steve said about illegal dwellings, we've had the same thing happen around Drake. There was some talk of council inspecting them and issuing something if they met the requirements or issuing works needed to be done if they did. Did that go anywhere?
Yeah, so all of the properties that I've identified basically have gone through a process where they've got their permits and approvals when it comes to Drake, or they've actually been issued with notices previously. That's through Public Works as well as Council, providing some of the support. But taking on board what we said before is to actually have a look and see whether or not we know of any other illegal dwellings. I mean, same thing, people might have a shed that they choose to come and stay in as well, and you've actually sort of got to find them at the time. So if people are dwelling there, and if we've got complaints about individual properties, we certainly actually go and have a look. But I'm not sure. I know you mentioned before that we had a drone doing some inspection. I'm not 100% sure what the drone was inspecting, so I was just going to take that away and just ask a few questions about what we're actually looking for at that point.
It's here not there for me, but I put back on it. The RFS shouldn't be out there, because the RFS job is their sole purpose is to save properties.
No, save money.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Save the homes on properties. And half the time, like with the last one, I know that 6 homes that they went to save that don't approve. So what they've done is put these guys' lives and the volunteers' lives in risk. And I think that they need to either be fined or get them, something needs to happen before the next fire. And we're only, the way we have fires here in Torrington, we're only 3 years away from our next big fire.
Yeah.
So,
Good point. Did you, did you have something else?
Yeah.
I did see your half stand up before the city council. And we will wrap it up after this because we've got to go to Drake Station, so I apologise.
You know, if council can't put concealed driveway signs up, can we put one on our property just inside our fence? Is that legal?
Concealed driveways?
Yeah.
Yeah, we put those up. We just can't put speed advisory or speed zoning.
Do we have to apply for some or what?
I think best to write to us, yes. Nominating and showing us a sketch of exactly what should, where the location of the driveway is.
Okay, thank you.
Right, thank you, and it's probably been one of our better public forums. I recommend talking on that. We've got some really, really good issues forward, and we'll go back with our staff and work on those. So hopefully in the future you'll see some action. I don't mean tomorrow, because it's a lot more. But once again, thank you, and the hospitality's been shown. It is always great, and we'll close the meeting. The meeting is ended. Peace and harmony. I wish you all well.